So today we have something really special from Maxace. This is the new Manticore in Magnacut steel. Woo! This thing is beautiful. So we have a nasty dual ground, harpooned, recurved Tonto with a dual grind. There's a deep hollow here, very pronounced secondary tip. Nice bit of belly right here in this flat ground section. Perfect tip to get to down to, you know, the surface of anything for utility cuts. And you can see that big harpoon with the swedge. I love the deep satin finish. You can see the Magnacut logo right there. Now the handle is full titanium. So we have a titanium frame lock with T8 hardware all the way around. A zirconium, I'm pretty sure this is a zirconium pivot with a Timascus pivot collar. And this is a gorgeous example of the way a Timascus pivot collar should be. A lot of times you can't even tell they're Timascus, you know, they just look like a blue titanium pivot collar. This one you can actually see because it's thick enough. If you're gonna do a Timascus pivot collar, do it thick like this where you can actually see that it's Timascus and you can see all those colors. The clip, beautiful Timascus clip. I love the blues, the reds, the purples all mixed together. And then we have the Timascus backspacer. Now, I know you're looking at this saying, Magnacut, titanium, Timascus, this thing must be $500. Under $300. Yes, you can get this under $300, $295. And if you use my discount code for $10 off, you actually can get it even cheaper than that. So, that's amazing. To me, this is a really good price. Magnacut, titanium, and all this Timascus for under $300 done to this well, like with this, you know, level of quality. Yeah, amazing price. So I'm very happy they came in under the $300 mark. So shout out to Maxace. It does have this lanyard pin right back here. I'm not sure. I think that's what it is. It might just be actually, maybe it's not. Maybe that's just for a show. Actually, I'm not 100% on that because it doesn't look like you can put anything through it. But the action is where this thing gets insane. This thing has, what, 3 forms of deployment, I guess you could say. The front flipper has actually 2 different ways you can use it. But we have the regular flipper, which cranks out so hard. This flipper tab has tons of leverage. Like, it's crazy how good this flipper is. And I know it's really close to the pivot, so it kind of probably feels like, you would expect it to feel kind of like the smock or something, but it doesn't. It doesn't feel like that at all because when you break it, the flipper tab kind of curves downward. So it winds up working really good and you wind up landing right back here really comfortably. And it just hammers out there, man. You're never gonna fail this thing. It's just, the detent is tuned way too perfect and the comfort of the flipper tab and the leverage you get, yeah, you're never gonna misfire. Then we have the front flipper. Now you can grip it up top like that, or you can go right from the front, which is probably the most satisfying. You can do the side finger. However, the reach over, the problem is when you do the reach over, it'll come over and it might hit your finger. So it's not the easiest one to do. You can do it though, like I can do it, but I have hit myself many times with this little peak right here, but it still works. But like I said, you know, the regular front flipper with the thumb, that's kind of the most satisfying way for the front flipper. Then you have these large, massive thumb studs that work great. They're a little bit tight to the scale, but the way they chamfered the edge on both sides makes it to where you can easily get to it. And the detent, again, is like perfectly tuned for all deployments. I'm surprised they were able to get all deployments down this well with the detent, because in most cases with a lot of companies, one deployment's going to have the great detent and then the rest are going to sacrifice a little bit. With this one, man, they all seem to work great. It doesn't matter which one it is, it just seems like it's tuned perfectly. The ergonomics are hand melting. You know, even though it does go from thicker to thinner, which I usually don't like in this case, it's thick enough to where you have plenty of girth to squeeze it. And I mean, you can squeeze the life out of this and you're not going to get fatigued. Very, very comfortable. And then the way the flipper tab is makes it to where you can choke right up, and the way the harpoon is, it kind of sinks your hand right in there. You know, you can kind of do the same thing in reverse grip. You know, if you want to like cut a strap, you know, it's nice and comfortable because you have a nice placement there. Like I said, the action, man, is just insane. Even the drop, when you disengage it, nice comfortable disengagement. Nice thick lock bar too. It is very thick. Tons of milling on the inside of this handle too. So the weight relief is really nice on this. But very easy to disengage, very easy to get past the detent. And it's damn near a guillotine. And it will be a guillotine for sure. Give it a little bit of time, a little bit of flipping, let that detent ball break in. This thing is going to just slam shut eventually. Yeah, very awesome, man. This one's pretty cool. Now, I know it's a wicked design, and I know it either speaks to you or it doesn't. Some people are going to love it. Some people are going to say it's a little too crazy for me. I like the crazy. I don't mind the crazy. Now, in some cases, crazy is not the most practical. This one's pretty practical. Because, you know, you got the recurve that, you know, you can use for slicing. You can use the belly to cut down on surfaces. You can use this to open things up, or the primary tip. So it's actually a pretty useful knife design, especially once you get used to it, you know. And some people just like that wow factor, you know. They want to take something out of their pocket and people be like, whoa, what the hell is that? And this has that. This has that. And Maxace, you know, is just known for that. Now, as far as the Magnacut goes, they say they're heat treating it to 60 HRC. So, granted, I think that's soft. I do think that's soft. I think it should be 63, 64, at the very least 62. However, you know, they go for toughness more than anything, and I know that about them. That, you know, the prices aren't crazy, you know, so you know, I know people look at some of their knives, they're like, yeah, some of their knives are crazy, some of their knives are super expensive. But considering what you're getting in the quality and the tolerances, the fit, the finish, the details, they're usually coming at a pretty decent price considering all of that, you know. And even like this one, this is a great price. So, you know, I'm not too mad at 60. At 60, yeah, it's not going to hold the longest lasting edge retention. It will hold a little bit more toughness. It'll still have decent edge retention. Like, it's still gonna have good edge retention. So it's not gonna be any slouch, but it's not gonna be anywhere near what it could be if it was at 63, 64. Now, the blade is nice and tough already. So I do think that they could have brought it up to at least 62 at the very least. I would say 63, but you know, considering, you know, the robustness of the grind, I mean, this is nice and thin, but you know what I mean. Like, you know, it's not actually too crazy thick, but you know what I mean. You know, the geometry will play a huge part in the toughness rather than making the steel softer. So that would be my biggest negative. Other than that, you know, I really don't have too much. Everything's done so well. You know, they have great sharpening tool and plunge grind. You know, you have plenty of life to sharpen off, and especially with a blade like this, you're gonna want room, which is really cool. They do give you that. The access to the lock bar is really good. The clip, you know, could be a little bit longer maybe, but I mean, it works fine. So, I mean, I can't really bitch about that, you know. Lots of milling on the inside. You know, like I said, the fit, finish, tolerances, all the little details are there. So, yeah, the only thing I got is that, yeah, I wish the Magnacut was a little bit harder. But, you know, and but for the price, man, I still think it's a great deal. I don't think, you know, it's a deal breaker, you know, unless if you're planning on using it for a work knife and you're planning on getting the most edge retention you can out of your knife. In that case, you know, I would invest in something that specializes in getting good quality heat treatments, you know. So, anyways, work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.